The Nasdaq was in the holiday spirit today, handing out presents to the tune of 192 points or 0.98%. You can see the volume was 3% below the average 50-day volume, which last week it was above it, every day by quite a bit. So we're getting into the holiday trading environment where, volume is lower and it just seems like people are on vacation now, and volume you can expect to decrease as the week goes along. Tomorrow starts the Santa rally period. The last 5 days of December, the first 2 days of January will consist of the Santa rally. And it's up, I think, 4 out of 5 times, 80% of the time. Anyway, so we can expect more gains. But, last week on that Wednesday, we got whacked after Jerome Powell spoke, and we're not going to recover that for a little while, I don't think. You can see this Wednesday here fell out, and then Thursday it traded up to its 21 and got rejected, and then on Friday it recovered a little bit. It got back 200 points or a little more than 1%. But when you fall 716 points and another 20 and get rejected at a moving average, that's a little unnerving there. And you want to see us get half of that back, maybe. And we haven't done that quite yet. Like I think it's going to take some time, but we've gotten back what 200, almost 400. So maybe half of that back of that 716 and 20, 736, call it 740 points. So yeah, we've gotten more than half of that back, which is great. Another thing that is encouraging today, recaptured both the 21 and 10 EMA and traded, uh, excuse me, I should say closed 1% above the 21 and 3.7% above the 50. I like to keep it simple. Above the 21, I'm going to increase exposure. Below the 21, I'm going to be reducing. So that's just me. I use that as a guideline. So now above it, tomorrow what I want to see is, and the rest of the week, have the low of the session be above the 21 as we try to, get back that 740 point loss from Wednesday and Thursday of last week. So anyway, the Nasdaq is the leading index, and some of the other indexes are not doing quite so well. The SPY today was up 0.6%, trying to bounce off its 50 here. There you can see it. On the Wednesday, it fell below it. Thursday, rejected at the 50. Uh, Friday closed right at the 50 there. You can see it, the 591. And then today got above the 50. Now it's got work to do to get above the 10 and the 21. You can see the 10 is already curled below the 21. So SPY has work to do. The Dow Jones Industrial Average was down 10 consecutive days until it snapped that streak last week with a 15-point gain on Thursday, followed up with a nice gain on Friday of 66 points. And today, excuse me, on Friday it was up 500 points or 1.18%, and then today was up 66 points. You can see it's just an inside day, well below the 50. The 10 is already crossed below the 50, and when the 21 crosses below it, that power trend is over for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So the Nasdaq is that's the sandbox we want to play in right now. And this is the IWM, which is just well below the 50, and no soup for you. Anyway, I trade stocks, not indexes. So I want to get to the Batman stock, starting with Broadcom. Broadcom, had this big move with earnings and then sold off a little bit. Of course, it got whacked on Wednesday and Thursday of last week. Tried to recover Friday, then had a nasty close. If I just show you the 5-minute chart here, there it is. Looks like it was going to have a real strong day. I don't know, it was up 10, 11, $12, and at the end closed down and still was up like $2 for the session, but not you can see it closed near the lows of the session, and the daily range on that day was 11% of the daily range. And today a little tighter range, but a nice move of $12, up 5.5%. For Broadcom, you can see the 10 EMA rising and the 5, excuse me, the 21 as well. I'm going to switch to 5 because I think it's probably trading along the 5 now as the super strong stocks will do that. Yeah, it's right. Just bumped off the 5 today of a 224 and to 3.4% above that. So nice move for Broadcom. Apple is another one. Man, I went to their store, made the mistake of going to the mall and went to their store, but man, their store is packed. Selling a lot of phones and watches and iPads for sure. Um, the I'm going to switch this back because it's bugging me. I'm going to go back to the 10 because any stock above the 10 is doing well in this market. I just screen for strong stock, and sometimes I don't realize how poorly the breadth of the market is. It's pretty bad right now. But anyway, the Apple, nice day today. Made a new high and then pulled back there. 255 was the high, and that was a high above last Wednesday's 254.28. So obviously that's a good sign. Tesla had a day like Broadcom last Friday where it closed, nasty close. It was up pretty nicely, then sold off into the close. There's your move Friday, whoop, and then sell off, hard sell off the last 15 minutes. Today, gap down, looked like a continuation of that selling on Friday. And then buyers came in and it just kind of flattened out into the close. A lot of stocks flattened out into the close today. It looked like a ghost town there. People not interested in trading stocks. Microsoft, Tesla, by the way, just pulled back to the 10. I'm going to get to some of those stocks in a little bit anyway, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on them. Microsoft has pulled back to its 21 now, a downtrending 21. It needs to get in gear. Meta Platforms, another one of these stocks, have pulled back to its 50 and now trying to bounce. So, and a lot of stocks aren't looking like this, where it's still set up and trading near a base. A lot of the leading stocks are extended, and the only way you can buy them is pulling back to moving averages. And then there are some stocks that are below their 50 that are trying to rally through, and then there are a lot of stocks that have already cratered. All right, I'm going to go to my A stocks, which is Amazon. Another one that pulled back to the 21, found support and bounced last week, and just a flat session today. And then Alphabet, just Google, another stock that kind of set up in the base and pulled back. After it broke out here, pulled back to the 10 and found support. Another nice bump today, 1.68. I think it's going to challenge that 200 again. It did that on Tuesday of last week, or was it Wednesday? Right before Powell sabotaged the market there. Yeah, it's Tuesday of 201. And then on Wednesday, it just cratered 3.5%. And the last one is NVIDIA, which is encouraging signs today, up 3.69%. As you can see, it's bumping right up against that 50 SMA, which is 139.72 today. The high was 139.79, so it's either going to get rejected there, which would be a real bummer, or it's going to rally through it. I'm really hoping NVIDIA, it's an important stock for the market, and I'm hoping that it can rally through. The semiconductor play, as I mentioned, Broadcom earlier, and NVIDIA here. There was some news on Qualcomm winning that case against ARM Holdings, and it was up 3.5% today. On that news, ARM, on the other hand, uh, you know, to the victor go the spoils, and to the loser, just 4% loss. Too bad, boo. Anyway, that's the way it goes in tech land. AMD, I'm going to tell you, AMD is an intriguing stock for me. First of all, I think I'm not going to say it's undervalued, but I think it's going to have a good year in 2025. I'll put out my top 10 stocks for 2025 this weekend. But when you see this here, the low of 121.83 makes another low here of what was it last week on that whack day? Came down to 118. So it's kind of like undercutting this low. I don't know how much lower you expect this thing to go. And today rallied back above there and 124.60 closing. Yeah, I'm not the type of person to call bottoms or buy stocks below moving averages. I'll just say I think the risk to reward on AMD is pretty strong here. Uh, Made that low Friday of 117.90, and now today it got up to 126. It's got decent, 2%, 9%, 18% sales growth. 319, 31% earnings growth. I don't know. It's just out of favor right now. And I think the risk reward's really good here for AMD. There's several stocks that I'm seeing like this, but I will divulge them on the weekend video, or I'll probably make a separate video for that anyway, so I can keep track of it. All right, that's it for the oh, I lied. No, there's one more. Marvell's another one of these semiconductor fabulous names that are doing fabulous. The fabulous stocks are doing fabulous. You can see it broke out on earnings. I forget what day this was. There was some news. That might have been Broadcom's earnings report. Pulled back to the 21, found support. Now it's been up 3 days in a row. So Thursday, Friday, and today. So we'll see how it does during the Santa rally, which I said starts tomorrow, half day tomorrow. So going to be light volume trading. Anyway, I'm going to move on to the software names. Palantir is one that went into the Nasdaq 100 this morning, and this thing's been up so much. Yeah, 8202. So it did make a new high today, above that Friday high of 8066, and above the old high from December 9th of 8091. So Palantir is still looking strong, but a little bit ahead of the moving average there, a little extended. MicroStrategy went into the Nasdaq 100, and the CEO Michael Saylor bought a bunch more Bitcoin. But man, this stock is not responding. Down nearly 9% today, 32 bucks. Yeah, just pulled back to its 50 on Friday and bounced. And today was just an inside day because that bar on Friday was hellacious. What is that, like 47 point swing? So MicroStrategy not so good. And then Axon went into the Nasdaq 100 as well. Just a flat session today for down 1% for Axon, but you can see it's been had a hell of a year, and it's up quite a bit, and it closed right near its 21. So another stock pulling back to the 21 they're going to have to watch. Some of the retail names, like in some of the retail names here, Ollie's bargain outlet made that high on Friday, and then just had a quiet inside day today on light volume, which is what you want to see. Allow these moving averages to catch up. Ollie looks fine. Deckers sold off today. It made a new high on Friday, and it just had an inside day as well, as it allows the 10 EMA to catch up. I'll be watching that one for a little bounce during our Santa Claus rally. I don't know if it's going to rally or not. Urban Outfitters, big move off the 10, just an inside day today. These are some really strong retail names. LQDT, Liquidity Services, Internet, retail stock, another one, really strong name here. Just yeah, bouncing off the 10. Looks pretty good. What else do we have here in this group? Oh, Warby Parker. Warby Parker. You need some glasses. They operate 237 eyeglass retail stores in US and Canada, made a new high today. So good for Warby Parker. I think that's it for my retail names. Oh, I skipped one software name, KVYO. This is one that I'm definitely watching, and this one could appear on my stocks. It just made the high of 44.77 and matched it today, then pulled back. But definitely could be on the yeah, this is a nice IPO base breaking out my 10 stocks for 2025. Like anybody cares. All right. I'm going to go to some electrical contracting manufacturer names. CLS, this is another top performing stock here. Bounced off the 21, and that's what I'm looking for with strong stocks. Like I say, they're not going to set up in bases like this. Since the election, they've been off and running, and the leaders are sticking out. But they're like I said, they're not going to set up in bases, so you got to buy them off moving averages. So when they dip, buy the dip, sell the rip, buy this dip, and sell that rip, buy this dip, sell that rip. Same thing, buy this dip, sell the rip, over and over and over again as it continues its, you know, uptrend. All right, that's CLS. JBL, another one in the electrical contracting manufacturing. As I say, there's no stock set up in bases. This is one that's set up in a base here. Cup with handle pattern, 139.21, standard buy point. It's a little bit extended, but not bad. You can see that 3 weeks tight area. What does that look like on the, there you go, on the weekly, this little area. Doesn't look all that tight. We're just looking at the closes though. So there you go. Now popping higher. JBL looks good. And the last one I wanted to show was a KN, which is uh, uh, electronic product stock. Anyway, this one, once again, pull back to the 21, set up near a buy point. So that looks pretty good as well. And there's another one in this kind of group is CAMT. This one was a 140 stock, now sold off, forming a base here. So, and it undercut the prior base. So this will be a stage one base here. I'm going to keep my eye on CAMTech because it has shown the ability to really move. As you can see here, so it made this monster move from January of 23 at $23 up to $140 in July 24. So that's a nice move. We'll take that all day long or all year long. All right, now I got to get to the drug stocks. This is going to be the last group. I'm going to keep it short today. Novo Nordisk last week just sold off on a phase 3 trial of one of their yeah, one of their drugs, obesity drugs, and they have a lot of drugs in the market. They have a lot of trials coming up. This is a panic sell. This is somebody, I don't know, they don't know really what's going on with this company. Just sold it on Friday, and today bought back. I opened up the computer on Friday morning and I saw it down trading down to 77 in pre-market. I'm done. What the heck, man? People are losing their damn minds. The low was 81.50 during the session. Today, the low is 85.99. I expect that gap to be filled is what I expect. So below 90, I'd say below 100 a buy, below 90 a screaming buy here. And I think it's going to do something what CrowdStrike did when they had the security breach last summer, where it just sold off. People just sold, sold, sold. Eventually hit bottom and then, rallied back up from 200 to what was it, 388. So I wouldn't surprise me to see Novo recover maybe a little quicker than CrowdStrike did, especially when they report earnings here on the 5th, man. They just bought Catalent too. They're going to be a dominating drug manufacturer stock as well, not just selling drugs. All right. Lilly was got FDA approval for sleep apnea. Um, for one of their drugs. Novo already has it for Wegovy, I believe. Wegovy or Ozempic, one of the two. They've gotten a lot of well, some doctors call it a miracle drug when you lose weight, and a lot of good things happen to you. Fatty liver disease, kidney disease, cardiovascular, sleep apnea. There's a lot of things that these are curing just by losing weight, and Novo already has their drug approved for sleep apnea. Lilly got their drug approved, and it was up nearly 4% today. So these are two powerhouses, and I think when they sell off like this, I think these are buys. You saw, I just showed you Novo, and here's a Lilly trading at 7-Eleven not too long ago, and then it ramped up and then pulled back again here with the low last week on Thursday was 752, so it's already up $45 since then. So anyway, those two stocks I like. VRTX Vertex went down last week on a another phase 3 trial. Man, this company has a lot of drugs too. I mean, they're like NVO. Just because one trial doesn't go as planned, I mean, they have a lot of drugs. It's not going to impact their sales. And you can see, they're doing, 15 billion in sales already, increasing, 6, 12%, 2 and 7% earnings growth. So yeah, I think the sell-off here is overdone as well. Although, the XBI has not done well at all recently. There you can see the sell-off ever since well, they just had a bad time. They've had a hard time lately. One stock that has not is a VRNA that was upgraded today. Man, you like to see a stock going like that on an upgrade, right? Nearly this 8% move on an upgrade, just bouncing off its 21. Here you see an ascending base, which is pretty rare pattern here, where it rises and pulls back, like 10% roughly, 10% pullback, 10% pullback. So it's ascending and just being supported at the 21 there. So VRNA is a nice little biotech stock. I like stocks making new highs. How about that? Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing, and that is I mentioned earlier about stocks pulling back to moving averages. Now here's GEV. It's set up in this base a long, long, long time ago. It seems a long time ago. It wasn't that long. So it broke out of this base and it just ripped, right? And now I guess you could call this like a flat base, but it pulled back to its 50 for the first time since breaking out. I think that's going to eventually turn out to be a gift here. It's been up 3 days in a row. Yeah, volume was low today on the holiday type of trading, but I don't know. I'm going to say that's probably a good place to add right there as it consolidates in this base here. I don't know how many weeks this has been, that it's been in this basing period. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 6 week base. I wouldn't be surprised to see this thing move out of here pretty soon. GEV is one that I'm looking at. Also, App 11, it made that high early December, I believe it made that high, 417.63, and pulled back to its 21. And you got to say, well, why didn't it just sell off? Why didn't it just crash and burn? That's your climax top on December 6th at 417.63, and it found a support here at the 21. You could say that maybe the shorts couldn't push it any lower than this, right? That looks like a floor to me, and now it's bouncing off its 21. Friday had a nice day. I forget how much it was up, but it closed near the highs, 93% of its daily range. $7, 7% move, $22. And today followed through. It was a weird day today though, because it sold off at the open. I saw it down like $6, and then the buyers came in. It closed near the highs, high volume close. So, like I said, a lot of the leading stocks are not going to form nice little cup with handle patterns for us. They're going to have to be bought off moving average, and App 11s and GEV are definitely a couple that I'm looking at. TOST. I didn't really even follow this stock today. I was kind of busy. Christmas time is a busy time. But anyway, this one pulled back to its 50 for the first time since breaking out. I believe that will turn into be a gift. Today, 37.70 is a little bit above the high on Friday. So not an inside day, but bouncing off its 50 has got to get through the 10 and the 21. And I think it will. Um, Boy, did I mention ALAB? I don't think I did. Another one of these super strong stocks. I mentioned, buy the dips and sell the rips, and this is your classic. Every time it dips, it gets support and rises, right? Dips, support at moving average, dip, support, you know, rises up and dips, find support, rises. Just if it sold off 2 days or 3 days in a row last week, like almost had I had to do a double take. Like, what the heck? This stock doesn't go down 3 days in a row. And anyway, I made a new high today of 138.14. So do you sell that spike? Probably so. But people have different time frames. You want to hold this one. I believe this one will be a $200 stock soon. So why would I sell it here at 135? Definitely a nice IPO pattern here in its institutional advanced phase. So let it advance. As they say, let your winners run. So every time it pulls back to moving average, I got to say that would be an area of interest for ALAB. CRDO, another one of these names that popped higher, pull back to moving average, popped higher, pull back to the moving average, and now the last 3 days has been up, but not powerfully. You want to see a powerful bounce off that 10, and today it closed just 0.1% above the 10. So I want to see this bounce here. So I'm just looking at strong stocks pulling back. I'm not looking at stocks that are way below the 50 or anything like that. I already showed you Google and Tesla, but I am looking at stocks that undercut their 50, not like way below, like the hospital stocks are really sold off here now below the 200. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking for stocks just, undercut their 50 and now looking to rally back above. This is Vistra, one of the top stocks in the S&P 500 this year. And then you can see right there, it just closed a nose above it. It closed last week. It was down below it by 4.9%. And now it closed above it 0.2%. So I'm liking this stock here to rally back above all of its moving averages. I don't want to see these moving averages cross below the 50, the 10, and the 21. So it's got to get its rear end gear and start powering higher, no pun intended. VRT, another one of these data center plays, undercut the 50 on that whack Wednesday. It was 5.6 below the 50. And now it came up to it on Friday and got rejected, which I don't like, and closed a percent below it. Today closed 3% below the 50. So, if it's not a long, it's not going to rally through. It's probably going to be a short. So VRT needs to get its rear end gear and power through those moving averages. Intuitive Surgical, another one below the 50, trying to creep back above it here. And it closed today 0.1% above it. So yeah, just 3% below, excuse me, 0.3% below it, now above it by a tick. So Intuitive Surgical is just playing teeter-totter with its 50. And then CRS, a steel name, top stock and a top group. On that Wednesday, it got whacked and then closed 4.5% below its 50. Now it's trying to creep back up there. It's 2% on Friday, and today closed 0.6% below it. Man, the 50 was 173.61, and it traded up to 174.29 and closed below it. So it's got to power through there. So those are some of the stocks that I'm watching. Have a happy holiday season. Merry Christmas. Tomorrow is going to be a real short day with light volume. Then the markets closed on Wednesday, and then to reopen on Thursday. So yeah, it's going to be kind of a slow market, quiet trading. Ho ho ho. A lot of traders are done for the year, so they're just closing their books on 2024. And like I say, I'll have 10 stocks for 2025 on Saturday at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up.